Welcome. This is an EDUcast delighting callers with a Smarter IVR, a subject I think a lot of people will be very interested in because we all have the same frustrations with IVR systems whenever we deal with vendors, banks, mortgage companies, and the like. Today, we have two people on this EDUcast. I'm Gary Auden. I'm a consultant blogger at Delphi Incorporated. And with me is Patrick Botts, VP of Workforce Optimization at a company called VoicePrint International. So let's talk about why you should listen to this EDUcast. Now, we've gone through many years of IVR development, but we really haven't seen any significant changes in the last few years. It's a self-service function. What we're going to talk about today is something that's a new idea, something called the virtual call agent. We're also going to discuss how that virtual call agent should be used, and even listen to a conversation of a real virtual call agent implementations. Then we will compare the virtual call agent versus traditional IVRs. And then how do you get started with a virtual call agent, and what resources do you need to make them work? So I'd like to introduce Patrick Botts. And my first question is, we have lots of automation today. What kinds of automation are we talking about with IVRs, and what are you talking about with a virtual call agent?
Thanks, Gary, for your introduction and for the invitation to be here. It's really a pleasure. As we all know, human agents are typically the most expensive in handling calls. And touch-tone IVRs, while they're low cost, they typically are unable to handle much complexity when it comes to call complexity. Speech IVRs have made some progress there. However, they can be costly in terms of initial setup costs, and then ongoing tuning costs and scripting costs, and whenever you need to make a change, can be very expensive. So the more complex the application, typically the more costly it becomes. The next generation in voice self-service is conversational virtual call agents in the cloud. And what's nice about them is they can handle a much broader range of complex calls. So a lot of those low-value calls that are medium complexity that human agents are typically taking now, they can handle, and it's just a single cost of 25 cents per minute. There's no upfront design costs or ongoing tuning costs, and I think you'll really be impressed with what you learned today about them.
Yeah, I would think, Patrick, that a lot of the agents that are out there handling calls that really good IVR should be handling, and that would reduce the cost to the customer or the IVR owner. So how has self-service evolved over the last few years?
Customer preferences are changing rapidly. Convergys recently conducted a study and found that 55% of consumers now prefer to use self-service versus waiting on hold. And by 2020, Gartner estimates the customer will manage 85% of the relationship with an enterprise without interacting with a human. You're familiar with effective forms of self-service, such as online applications, mobile applications, ATMs, airline check-in kiosks. The IVR, unfortunately, hasn't been very effective until now.
Yeah, so that brings up the next point, is what are the most common dissatisfactions for the use of IVRs today?
Yeah, these are the top customer dissatisfiers today, and these are not just with IVRs, which makes it even more interesting. This is a survey of more than 4,000 respondents that Ovum conducted, an analyst firm, and they actually found that the top most frustrating things with customer service in general in contact centers was wait time to speak to a representative is too long, the automated telephony system is annoying, and inability to access human agents. So those actually correlate directly to the IVR experience that we're providing today. So we have a lot of work to do, and kind of you can see the top three dissatisfiers. If you can correct those, then you can really improve customer satisfaction and loyalty. And so that's what we're going to be talking about for the rest of this EDUcast.
So that brings up the question, what is a virtual call agent then? How do you define it?
Virtual call agents are a hosted solution with a brain. They leverage artificial intelligence, which gives them short-term memory and long-term memory. As soon as they know who you are as a caller, they pull up everything about you from the back-end database and they're ready to use that in free flow conversation. It's very dynamic, very personal conversation like we're having today. They don't require decision trees. There's no more scripting, so if 126, then jump to 129. They're extremely reliable. They never get tired, and they learn. The more calls they take, the smarter they get.
Yeah, the next point is just trying to show us an example of this kind of conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll play a sample call right now, and this is a payment arrangement call, but there are several types of calls. It could be inbound, outbound sales, collections, tech support. We've done all kinds of different types of calls. Again, there's a broad range. This example is a payment arrangement where some of the things you actually want to look for here on this slide or listen to is you're going to hear the virtual agent actually say, "How can I help you?" That's a much different experience than we traditionally hear in IVRs today, where you're kind of pushing people towards a certain path, if you will. You're going to hear a short-term memory where the virtual agent pulls up a past due balance. You're going to hear the caller barge in, and that's common in regular conversation, right? Where she cannot pay everything at once, and the virtual agent will actually recommend corrective actions. And what's nice is the virtual agents are hosted in a PCI and HIPAA compliant facility that securely captures the credit card or the patient private information. Here we go.
Good morning. I am your automated agent. How may I help you?
I need to make a payment arrangement with y'all.
I can help you with that. I see that you are calling from 323-789-3357. Is that the phone number you are calling about?
Yeah, that's it.
Now, please say your name.
Jane Hurd.
To confirm your identity, what are the last 4 digits of your social security number?
2342.
Great. I see that your past due balance is $240. How would you like to pay?
I can't pay that all now.
All right. You said that you cannot pay the full amount at this time. We can keep your account active if you can give us a payment of $120 today and $120 on February 14th. Will that work for you?
No, I can't do that. I can pay $120 today, but I can't pay the rest until the 21st.
To confirm, you would like to pay $120 today and the remaining balance of $120 on February 21st. Is that correct?
Yes, that's what I'd like to do.
Okay. Would you like to pay with a credit card?
Yes.
All right. Please tell me your card number.
It's 4815-1623-4281-5108.
That's a Visa card with the number 4815-1623-4281-5108, right?
Correct.
What is the expiration month and year?
January of 2014.
1 moment, please. Your payment transaction has been completed. Would you like me to schedule your payment for February 21st using the same card?
Yes, that would be great. Thanks.
We appreciate your payment. Is there anything else I can do for you today?
No, thanks. That's it.
Have a great day. Goodbye.
That sounds great, Patrick. But let's move on, because a lot of people will ask the question, what are the best uses for this kind of technology?
Yeah, so the top uses today that our customers are using these are first to essentially automate more calls from start to finish. So they're looking at what calls do agents really not need to handle or do not want to handle. There's a lot of calls that lead to agent dissatisfaction, and they're kind of repetitive calls. And many of our customers, over 50% of their calls are ones that agents really don't need to be handling. And if they're done effectively, the customers actually provide better customer satisfaction scores through the virtual agent. So that's kind of the main way people are using virtual agents. Then the other one is to gather and verify information up front. So what the virtual agent will do is, verify that this is the caller, gather as much information as they need, and then transfer the call with all that information to the live agent, who then can focus on doing the job that they like to do, and that requires a live agent, and those kind of personal skills. The other way that we have customers using it is to transfer to virtual agents to capture sensitive PCI credit card information or sensitive patient information of their healthcare provider. This is a very cost-effective way to ensure PCI compliance. What's nice is then if your recording system isn't PCI compliant now, this is a great way and an easy way to become compliant without having to essentially forklift or upgrade or get a new recording system. And it is more secure. Your agents, they can't write anything down. This is very popular in at-home agent environments where people are working from home and they don't want their at-home agents taking that sensitive information. And so you're only paying for the actual time that the payment card is actually that information is being taken by the virtual agent. Then the virtual agent can transfer the call back or complete the call. And then with things like Hurricane Sandy and a lot of the natural disasters, before there's a big blizzard in the Northeast, companies are using virtual agents to expand during natural disasters very rapidly to be able to take more calls very quickly. And also on a seasonal basis, we have customers that are seasonal in the retail business and seasonal maybe for tax season they have to ramp up. And traditionally they had to ramp up by hiring more temp staff, and now all they have to do is actually just run certain types of calls through virtual agents, and they don't have to hire more temp staff for those seasonal things or outsource any of those calls anymore.
Then let's move on. One of my thoughts in listening to you is, how do you implement something like this, and what kind of IT resources do you need?
Yeah, so implementing virtual call agents is really simple. It is a cloud-based solution. So most of the customers we deal with, they have obviously live agents and skill-based routing in place. They may use an outsourcer in conjunction with that, or they may just outsource altogether those calls. And typically they're using some sort of conventional IVR, but not all are. Sometimes we're that first form of voice self-service. But essentially what we are is just another outsource, if you will. We connect to the back-end systems, the ERP systems, the CRM systems, the scheduling systems, and also to the PBX and the ACD. So, we're using the data from the back-end systems in conversation, and we're also populating data back. And the PBX and ACD, essentially, we're just routing the calls to us to take them, and then we route them back to you. The CTI is a neat thing that we do as well. If the customer has CTI, we will transfer all that information via screen pop that we're capturing to the live agent. And if they don't, we have a little web application that's free of charge that we will pop that information up to the agent. So the agent doesn't have to ask the customer again for that information. We all know how annoying that is to have to repeat information.
Could you get into the IT resources required for a minute?
Getting started is easy. Since it is a cloud-based solution, there's no hardware to buy, and we do all the QA, so there's no scripting or maintenance on your end. It's virtually technology agnostic to hosted systems, hosted ACDs or CRMs or ERP systems or on-premise systems, and it's extremely reliable infrastructure that it's hosted in. Getting started, all we typically need is 10 to 20 recorded audio files for each transaction type, and we feed those into the brain. Any training scripts or business rules that you'd like applied, and typically set up a 20-minute technical meeting to determine back-end system integration points, and a 10 to 15-minute telecom meeting to determine the call routing and forwarding to our system and back to you.
One of the points you made earlier was the term tuning. How do you tune something like this? It seems like you can't just start off with doing everything perfectly right. You have to do some feedback.
Absolutely. No, you make a great point there. Gary. So what we do is, this is an actual case study of a large office supplier, and they're using virtual agents for online returns. So someone, may have bought 12 products and they want to return 2 or 3 products. And essentially what we did, they had an IVR in place that they were using, and their containment rate, or their self-service success rate, was about 3 to 3.5%. And right off the gate, we came in at close to 10%, and that's pretty common. This graph here is very typical of what we see. So it came in at 10% right off the gate because of the artificial intelligence. And then there's typically a very quick spike. And we do tuning along the way. So we have a QA team. We know that, since it is just a hosted model, and our success is, or your success is our success. So we tune it very carefully. We listen. Usually within the first 30 to 60 days is when the major improvements occur. You can see that at this point, last year, we're already up to close to 35%, and now we're even up to close to 40%. But some of the examples of tuning would include, faster lookups to back-end systems. We did a grammar improvement where originally we were looking for 6-digit product codes, and we expanded that to up to 9-digit product codes, and that helped. As we were listening for that, we noticed that. We softened language here and there, and we kind of dissect the call very carefully and actually figure out, where can we tune these things. But what's nice is you don't really have to do anything. We take care of all that. We will, go to you and ask for feedback on things. And people get really excited about virtual agents. So you'll see that typically when you implement it, you have teams of people within your company that want to call in and give suggestions and things. So it's really neat. But you can see here, we're at 40% self-service success rate. If you count all the business rules that we successfully transfer to a live agent, this green line here. So we proactively, if we notice any hesitation, we'll proactively send the caller to a live agent. Now we're only doing that in less than 5% of cases, but following all the business rules and self-service success, we're at about 80% success rate. So if you're comparing it to traditional IVR, it's like 80% versus what a traditional IVR would look like.
How about we sort of finish this up by giving some comparison between what your advantages are versus the legacy IVR world?
There are several advantages, the main one being the conversational approach, which leads to extremely high success rates compared to a traditional IVR. We don't have to rip and replace any existing infrastructure. It's very complementary to what you already have today. People really love the fact that there's no initial design, implementation, or integration costs or any ongoing costs other than the 25 cents a minute. We do all the work, and we continuously tune it for optimal performance. We'll even compare human agents versus virtual agents through our workforce optimization software to optimize your call handling.
Last question. Do you have any resources that the audience can go to learn more about this?
We invite you and your peers to visit our Virtual Call Agent Resource Center at vpi-corp.com/virtual You'll be able to listen to a variety of other sample call audio files from different industries and different call types. We have a savings calculator where you can calculate your return on investment rather easily. And we're offering for a limited time a free 30-day trial where we pay for the first 30 days of service. And it's not uncommon that you may be able to fund the entire project from the savings that you save in the first 30 days. On behalf of all of us here at VPI, I want to thank you for your time today, and we really look forward to the opportunity to work with you.
Well, thank you very much, and I appreciate this information, and I look forward to the next EDUcast.